I'm going to invite you to give a gift right now to someone sitting around you and just look at them and say, "You're amazing. You're a miracle." I love it. Because you are. Okay, even though we just celebrated Thanksgiving, we are in that week between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the word Thanksgiving itself implies that it's not just about Thanksgiving. It's about gratitude, giving, and receiving, and they're all interconnected. And we're going to talk more about that as we move along. Today, what I'm going to share with you comes from a book called 29 Gifts by Cami Walker. And although the book is about a woman who finds her way to the fullness of life through an illness that she is experiencing, the book is relevant to all of us, no matter where we're at in our lives. You'll find that as I share this today, it is relevant to each and every one of us. Ultimately, what happened is that she wasn't necessarily healed of this illness, but her life was healed. So Cami Walker, at the age, I don't know her age, a month after she got married, she was diagnosed with MS, with multiple sclerosis. And she had been having symptoms up until that point, but they had never figured out what it was. At the point that she was diagnosed, she had lost her sight in her right eye. She was dealing with extreme fatigue. She had cognitive issues. Her hands weren't working right. She was bedridden. She couldn't walk on her own. And she was on a ton of medication. And so she was getting ready to enter the hospital to detox from all this medication so that her doctor could start with a fresh slate. And when she decided to call her teacher and spiritual mentor, Mbali, E-M-B-A-L-I, who is an African-American medicine woman. Now, Cami admits that when she called Mbali, she was calling to whine. She wanted to commiserate and to have Mbali commiserate with her. However, when Cami called her, Mbali's response to her was, "I think you need to stop thinking about yourself." Now, as you can imagine, Cami was shocked. And she said, "Here I am. My body is a wreck. I'm a wreck. I don't have room to think about anything but myself." And Mbali says to her, "I know. That's the problem. If you spend all of your time and energy focusing on your pain, you're feeding the disease. You're making it worse by putting all of your attention there." And she said, "Cami, you're falling deeper and deeper into a black hole. I'm going to give you a tool to dig yourself out." And what I want to say here is that this is a tool for all of us. If we're experiencing lack in any area, whether it's an experience of health, of relationship, of finances, of just faith, of we're in grief, whatever it is, this is a tool that is vital for us to grab a hold of and to use on a regular basis. So Cami said, "What should I do?" And Mbali said, "Well, I have a prescription for you. And here's what I want you to do. For the next 29 days, I want you to give one gift away every day." Now, Cami initially was just like rolling her eyes like, "Yeah, right." What a stupid idea this is, because she's getting ready to go in the hospital and she's going to be in there for 8 days. And Mbali says to her, "There's going to be other people in the hospital with you, and this doesn't have to be a material gift. You're going to find that there's all kinds of gifts, that we can give." And so Cami is pretty resistant to the idea initially, and so she puts it on. She decides that she's not really going to pick up this tool and use it. And she calmly points out, to Mbali that she just needs to focus on her own healing. And Mbali says to her, "Healing doesn't happen in a vacuum." Excuse me, because this is something you can read along with me. "But through our interactions with other people. By giving, you are focusing on what you have to offer others, inviting more abundance into your life." And not just abundance, we're talking abundance of all. Giving of any kind is taking a positive action that begins the process of change. It will shift your energy for life. And so, again, Cami jots the idea down in her journal with no intention of doing it. But one night, she finds herself not able to sleep, and she opens up her journal, and there it is. And she said, "Why not try it?" What have I got to lose? And so she says, and Bali says, no matter how much we have materially, we are often in a place of scarcity. We never think we have enough or that we're good enough. Instead of getting lost in a sense of lack, once we realize that we are a part of something bigger, it becomes clear that we have many gifts to offer the world. And, think about, because the scarcity comes about in anything. If we are in the midst of an illness, we feel that there's a scarcity of health and wholeness. If we're in the midst of relationship issues, if we're in the midst of financial things, whatever it is, our tendency is to look at what's not working and what we don't have. And the idea here is to shift and to start recognizing what we are filled with, what is infinite, that what we live and move and have our being in. So she decided to do this, and her first gift was actually to a friend of hers who also had MS. And this was an hour-long conversation. She said within minutes of this conversation, she received a phone call offering her some work, which was something that she needed. She said also that very day that somebody paid for her lunch, and she was able to walk the 8 blocks home on her own, which was a big deal. And she said, on my first day, the reciprocity of the universe was full steam ahead. And I like to think of that as grace. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, says that grace is that we never reap the full harvest of our error thinking, and we always reap more good than we sow. And the moment that we start, moving into that givingness, it's boom. The reciprocity is exponential. It's not in kind. It's more than we can even begin to possibly imagine. Proverbs 11:25 says, "The generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters himself will be watered. As you give, you receive." And I love that so much because, obviously there's the law of attraction there. As we give, the universe is responding and giving to us. But to me, the most important part of this is it is in the very act of giving that we are receiving. We are the first recipient of whatever it is that we're giving. And that is the greatest gift that we can possibly get, is, that we are the first recipient. So Cammie said, it's like I'm expecting good things to happen now. And she goes on to say, I've come to believe over the last 29 days that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. I now view giving and receiving as an exchange of energy, a universal transaction that each one of us takes part in over and over, moment to moment. I am also seeing that exchange, whether I'm on the giving or the receiving end, is a divine experience, one that my mother would call a God moment. During the moments I am offering or accepting a gift, the part of me that is true spirit is connecting with the true spirit of another individual. And we are both in that instant connected to the divine force that created everything out of nothing, the light from which we all draw inspiration and energy. And that is what so much of this is about. It's about moving beyond separation, because that's so needed in our world today, to move beyond separation and to really move into oneness. And when we are giving to one another, whatever it is that we're giving, it is that true spirit in us is connecting with the true spirit in the person or the people with whom we are having that exchange. And that is so much a part of what changes the dynamic of our world, is when we are in that exchange, in that place of our spirits, our souls connecting with each other. I want to share with you some of what Cammie goes on to say. She said, something intangible has relaxed inside of me. I'm feeling more positive in general. And she started to recognize that she was supported everywhere that she looked. Now, here's the thing. When we're in our lack experience, whatever that is, and it's normal, when something occurs in our lives, I always want to say that, it's normal for us to take the hit. It's normal for us to feel huge emotions around things that change in a way that's scary to us. It's normal for that to happen. And we can really ultimately close ourselves off. And when we close ourselves off, here's the thing, the universe is supporting us all the time. There's support all around us all the time. But we can't see it because we're cloaked in the pain, in the fear, in the worry, in the lack. But when we start to open ourselves up and we start to recognize that there is so much more here, and I have so much to give, and I start giving and I start connecting, we all of a sudden see all the support that's it's already been there all the time, yeah. But we start to see it then. And when we start to see it, that strengthens our faith, doesn't it? It definitely strengthens our faith because we see, oh yeah, look at this, here's this, here's this, here's this. And it's amazing what shows up all around us. And I have to say that probably all of us here have experienced that many times in our lives where we've just been, wow, that thing came along at the perfect time. Anybody ever have that? That person showed up at the perfect time because we're always supported. But when we're open, we're going to see it, and we're going to see it more regularly. We're going to see it easilier. That's a new word. It's a new word, easilier. She said, it's so nice to wake up and be able to think about what's possible instead of how messed up my life is. I experienced a deep psychic change, and it changed the quality of my thinking, and it's all about that. We want to change the quality of our thinking. I would be excited about what opportunity I might find to give. I began to focus on what I was capable of instead of the limitations that I had with MS. I'm starting not to be resentful, angry, and frustrated anymore. And Mbali said to her, yes, because you are putting your consciousness on what you have to offer the world instead of on what is scarce. When you practice mindful connections with others, your life feels meaningful, and so it is. And that is absolutely true. So how do we do this? So one of the things is, we talk a lot about it's important to start our day with something. It's important, whether you read the daily word, you meditate, whatever it is, it's important to get our day going from the consciousness that we want to experience our day with. And so they suggest, just do a short meditation and some affirmations and I'm going to invite us to share this together. Today, I give with joy. Today, I give with enthusiasm. Today, I give with abundance. Today, I give with patience. Today, I give with kindness. Today, I give with connection. Today, I give with compassion. And, for me, each one of these words are, I read this and I'm like, oh my gosh, because it is important to give with joy and with enthusiasm and with abundance. And it's also important to give with patience. Sometimes we may be with somebody who's really struggling with something, and we need to have patience and to be present with them and just to be able to give them our attention, to be able to give them our love and support. And it's important, obviously, to give with kindness and compassion. And definitely, we want to give with connection. We want to be connected to whoever it is that we're giving to. So, how do we practice this on a regular basis? First of all, is non-attachment. And for me, non-attachment is we're giving with an open heart. And giving with an open heart looks like a couple things. One is that we're not attached to how the person may receive whatever it is that we're giving. Because sometimes somebody's not going to be able to really receive what it is that we're giving. And that's not our business. Our business is just to be that light and that expression. The other non-attachment is to give without expectation of something in return, even a thank you, even an acknowledgement. And sometimes that's hard for us human beings. Did you know they didn't even say thank you? I never got a thank you note in the mail, or, and the idea here is that we are giving because that's our nature. Our nature is to give. And we, in a sense, cut off the flow when we think we need to be acknowledged because of it. It's nice to be acknowledged. But to me, the highest form of giving is when we just give because, again, that's our nature to do so. The second thing is gratitude. And of course, this is to stay in a state of gratitude and literally write things down, write, 3 or 4 or 5 things down every day that you're grateful for. Now, I don't do this on a daily basis, but I do it sporadically. And so I happened to come across a notebook just the other day, and it was like a month of gratitude. And it was so much fun. This was from 2012, and it was so much fun going back and looking through all the 5 things that I wrote down every day, because it was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was so cool. And what was really interesting to me was that this was 2012, and of all things in this 1 month, one of my things was my talk with Paul. And neither of us even remember it. And I thought it was just so interesting to me that here we are today, and it was like in 2012, my talk with Paul. That was just interesting. Awareness is another thing. And decide that you're going to go through each day being open and aware, to the opportunities to give. I promise you, they are everywhere. But in our daily life, our tendency is to go through our life, and we're busy and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I think no matter what time of year it is, but I think especially in this season when things are so busy, it is so important for us to stay so much more aware. Because the reality, guys, is that not everybody's in a joyful state during this season. There are people who are grieving. There are people who are lonely. There are people who are experiencing depression. There are people who barely have enough money to even feed their families, much less provide a Christmas, for them. And so it's so important for us to stay aware and be able to tap into this and be present to whoever's in front of us. The next thing is service. And this is really just try your best to approach each gift from an authentic desire to be in service, just to be in service to others. And, think about what is it that touched you and compelled you to want to be in service to someone. It's good to kind of just stop and think about those things as well. And curiosity, approach this ritual with a willingness to be curious and surprised. And of course, this is not assuming anything, that, the curiosity is just, wow, I wonder what this day is going to provide for me. I wonder, and not just provide the opportunities that it's going to provide for me is what I mean. I wonder how that's going to show up today. And the last thing, and this is so important because this is one of those things that we aren't necessarily very good at all the time. And let's see if you agree. Receiving. It is so important to be a good receiver. When you give, it opens space for you to also receive. And when we say yes to whatever it is that somebody is offering us, we are giving them a gift in that moment when we receive. And I love that, and think about it. When somebody receives what you're giving them, whether it's a moment of appreciation, a hug, whatever it is, you're getting a gift back, aren't you, in that moment? And so it's really important for us to be good receivers, of all that God has, the universe, the divine has for us, because it is unlimited what is here for us. But we have to be willing to accept it and to allow it to come into our beingness and to simply say, thank you, I receive that. So what counts as a gift? Every mindful act counts as a gift. When you practice mindful connection with others, your life feels meaningful, and so it is. The challenge lies in offering the gifts consciously rather than just in passing. Stop for a few seconds before giving the gift to consider where it is coming from. And the optimal thing is to be in a place of gratitude and joy and peace as you're giving the gift. So what are some of the gifts that we can give? You have them in your bulletin, but I'm going to read through them because I think it's important for us to see that it doesn't matter who we are, what our life is like. If we live alone and we're home all day by ourselves, there are a gazillion ways that we can give a gift. You can call someone. Let your spouse sleep in or do something nice or special for them. Send a letter to a soldier. Send a letter to a government official. Send a nice letter to your doctor. How many of us send a nice letter to our doctor? Or think about people who wouldn't normally receive a nice complimentary something. Pass out flowers. Mow a neighbor's yard. Rake a neighbor's yard. Shovel snow is the word. Offer to pick up groceries. Say a prayer for someone. This is huge. You know, that is a gift when you simply take the time to bless someone or say a prayer for someone. Help someone move, pay for someone's coffee, let someone out in traffic, let someone ahead of you in line buy a lunch, donate to a worthy cause. I'm going to skip the next one for a minute. Give a hug. Give your time. Give kind words, encouraging words. Smile. Give a big tip, not necessarily because they deserved it, because you could change their day with that. Give hot chocolate to a homeless person and give them eye contact. Introduce yourself. Clean out your old clothes and donate them. Donate blood. How many of us are on social media? Send inspiring things on social media, and put a positive review for a local business that you love on social media. I said that. Spread good news. Give words of encouragement to someone about their dreams, no matter how big or small. Stop and buy a drink from a kid's lemonade stand. I love that. Donate your old eyeglasses. Hug a friend and let them know how important they are. Leave encouraging notes in the library, random places. I've seen many times on Facebook, somebody will take Post-it notes and write encouraging things, and they'll place them on mirrors, or they'll place them on where they'll place them in places, and somebody is going to come along and they're going to see that note, and it's going to be exactly what they need when they see that note. Donate cat and dog food to a local shelter. Compliment people. Our community cabinet. We have a community cabinet out here, and here's what I want to say with all of us here, that cabinet should never be empty. We had a young mother come in last week, and she had 3 kids under the age of 4. She had a stroller. She had 2 of them in a stroller, and the 4-year-old was walking. And they walked for 30 minutes to our community cabinet, and we had hardly anything in there. And the reason she walked is because she heard about it. So more and more people are hearing about this outreach that we have. But it's hard for me to want to continue this outreach if we can't sustain it. And every single one of us here, I believe, has more than enough that we could be bringing things every single week for that community cabinet. So I want to encourage you to make that a part of what you do on Sunday mornings. Donate coats, hats, gloves, scarves, and blankets for Rare Breed. We have over 1,000 homeless teens and youth in the Springfield area. So this will really help them. Donate to the Gathering Tree. This is an organization that from Thursday to Monday is open, and you'd have to get online to look at it, but it's from 5 to 8, and you just go and you're there with homeless people, and you're connecting with them, and you're playing games with them. Donate time to the Community Partnership of the Ozarks. Just donate time and just give. Just give. You cannot outgive. Although I want to say this, the idea here is not to deplete you. If you are feeling depleted, it is probably because you're giving out of guilt, and that is not going to be the highest and best for anyone. And so the idea isn't to deplete yourself, but the idea is to tap into that energy, and that's always where we want to go, to God first, to the divine first, and be open to what is here for me to give, and then to give from that place. I want to share with you some words from Cammie because I think they're so powerful. From the first day I started giving, the energy in my life changed direction. I felt that I wanted to be here, I deserved to be here, and now I believe on a deeper level that I am good enough. Instead of staring down the empty path and bemoaning my fate, I began looking at little new paths that seemed to magically unfold before me. I'm in less emotional and physical pain. It's not that I got stronger overnight. And she says, perhaps the biggest change is that today I feel spiritually in touch with a higher sense of power. I have begun to see that everything belongs to the divine. God is in everything, including me. When we give or receive, we are connecting to that force. I now see that I am a small part of a much greater whole rather than the self-contained, deserted island I felt like 29 days ago. Today, I see my interdependence with other people and God as the source of power in my life. For most of my life, I saw this sort of dependency as a liability and firmly believed that I must stand on my own 2 feet. How many of us do that when something goes on in our lives and we become an island? And what she's saying here is that breaking down that belief to acknowledge the presence of God and my need for other human beings in my life has left me with a new sense of freedom and an independence of spirit. And that is so important. I want to close with a reading by Leo Buscaglia. The majority of us lead quiet, unheralded lives as we pass through this world. There will most likely be no ticker tape parades for us, no monuments created in our honor, but that does not lessen our possible impact, for there are scores of people waiting for someone just like us to come along, people who will appreciate our compassion, our unique talents, someone who will live a happier life merely because we took the time to share what we had to give. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have a potential to turn a life around. It's overwhelming to consider the continuous opportunities there are to make our love felt. So I'm going to invite you to take your bulletin out one more time. On the bottom of the second paragraph, there is a sentence that starts with "my desire," and I'm going to invite us to read that together. My desire is to contribute joy into the lives of others and to my heart. And we're going to say that one more time with a little more enthusiasm. One more time. My desire is to contribute joy into the lives of others and to my heart. And so it is. Your homework, you guys, if you want to do it, is simply to go out and be the Christ. Be that essence of what Jesus taught us. Be that person that is of service and be in service to love. And it will absolutely change your life and it will change our world. Namaste. Namaste. Okay, as our ushers come forward, and we have this opportunity to be in the givingness of our finances in support of what we are here to be together. And I want to encourage you as our ushers are coming forward. I know for a lot of people, they have end-of-year money that they have to give away, and I want to encourage you to consider, yeah, I know, I want to be there. But please consider Unity as a source of that. And, if you haven't, consider putting Unity in your will, in your trust, life insurance. We have had people that have come before us, and we are here today because of some people who have put us in their wills and in their trust. And thank you, God, that they have, because we are here to do a mighty work together.